All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome. Today is Monday, June 2nd, 2025. You are now watching Permission to Exist. I am your host, Permission to Exist, also known as PTE, and I am so excited to be back again. We actually just did a show on Saturday, I believe it was. So this is rare for me these days to go back to back, but I think it's a good sign. I'm hoping it's a good sign that maybe there's more content to come because we have been in a little bit of a drought. So, welcome everyone to the show. Big shout out to everyone who supports the show, be that Cash App, Patreon, super chatting, liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. There is also an email mailing list. You can find the link to that in the description box. And also, I thought it was important to let you guys know that there is a P.O. box listed at the bottom of the email that I send to you. It's mandatory, it's required by law, and it's also no longer correct. So those of you who might have been looking to mail me something, please don't send it to that P.O. box because I'll never get it. I let it lapse about 2 years ago and never went back to fix it. So it is not mine anymore. I actually don't know who it belongs to. So don't send anything to that P.O. box. Eventually, at some point in time in the future, I am going to get another one, and I will keep that one for the duration of this channel's life. Okay? So welcome to the show, everybody. It's so great to have you guys. This show was inspired by the last live stream that we did on Saturday, which was called Shock Report. Employees working from home makes them healthier. And we discussed many different things in that episode. But one topic that came up was the topic of employers wanting you to come to the office because they believe that it builds relationships. And in that show, I said, and I quote, because basically you want me to be your little bestie. That's what it feels like. It feels like a lot of these bosses and managers just want somebody to be their best friend. But I would never be your best friend because you lie, you gaslight. Sometimes you're very rude and condescending and mean. You're not clear. You don't even know what you want. You speak to me as if I'm a robot or as if you're a robot, one or the other. Why would I be best friends with a person like that? And then I also said later on in that show, I said, I said, I said, y'all are such children. You're so childish. You are so desperate to build relationships in these offices. But some of the people who are older than me are more childish than I have ever been, ever, even when I was a child or a teenager. I've never behaved this way, but you want to build relationships. How can I build relationships with someone who is immature and childish? And that is where this show comes from today. This is where we are. Because also in that episode, I was musing about what would actually get me out of bed and make me want to come to the office, right? And I was half serious, but also half joking. So those of you who tuned in, you are aware of all the different things I listed off, including like a little petting zoo. By the way, they're called pygmy goats, the little goats. They're called pygmy goats. But obviously, I know that that can't be done, right? I know that they're not going to install massive fish tanks with exotic fish for my pleasure. I know that they're not going to do that. They're not going to book a massage therapist for me to use whenever I feel like it. Like I recognize that these things are not going to happen. It was me kind of being like facetious a little bit, kind of fantasizing about what would actually make me want to come. But then I got to thinking about it as I was listening to the playback. And I was like, I know those things aren't realistic and they would never happen. I get that. But what actually would be realistic and what actually for real would make me want to come? And the more I thought about it, I was like, it has a lot to do with the people, a lot to do with the people. I have to really like the people that are in the office to make me want to come. They have to be smart, funny, they have to work hard, they have to be intelligent, things of that nature. And they basically have to not be jerks like they typically are, especially the managers and the leaders, right? So I was just thinking about that. And then I happened to come across this meme on LinkedIn. And I said, oh my God, the timing couldn't be more perfect. The timing couldn't be more perfect. So this was posted by on LinkedIn. Looks like the owner of it is Harris Halsick or Halkick, something like that. And the title of it is 10 Responses to Difficult People in the Office, is kind of the rest of that sentence. And just really quickly, I want to point out just the bolded ideas, and then we're going to break it down. You want me to build relationships with someone or with a group of people who interrupt you, dismiss your ideas, get aggressive or emotional, refuse to engage logically, um, try to dominate the conversation, make it personal, keep pushing a losing argument, and try to control the narrative. This is who you want me to wake up early, shower, get dressed, put on makeup, drive anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to go sit in the presence of people like these? Like, the fact that this is posted on LinkedIn at all means that this is what a lot of people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis in their offices, and also sometimes virtually, quite frequently virtually, actually. And I was just floored because the timing was brilliant, but also I'm thinking, if this is what's going on in your workplace, you need another workplace. You're actually you're actually trying to teach people how to tolerate this on a daily basis. And then you wonder why we don't want to come into the office, and you wonder why it's so difficult to build relationships in the office. This is why. As I shared in the last live stream, I've had better relationships with teammates who don't even live in the same country. But by virtue of how we treat each other, we end up having really healthy, really strong relationships that sometimes go beyond the job itself. Like, I leave or they leave, and we keep in contact with each other after that because we had such a healthy dynamic when we were there. So, if you want to build relationships in the office, because this is one of their top answers when you say, why do you want your, or when they are asked, why do you want your employees back in the office so bad? They say, because it's just so hard to build relationships virtually, which is, it's a cop out, gaslighty type answer, but it's one that they lean on heavily. This whole relationship building thing. And it's a lie. Number one, you don't want to build relationships, because if you did, you wouldn't tolerate people like this in your office. You really wouldn't. And I'd actually like to go through each of these because I have something to say about every single one of them. But as I'm going through, I want you to really think, why would I build a relationship with this type of person? Why? What's the benefit of that for me? Why would I build a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath? And in some cases, a sociopath. Why would I want to build a relationship with a person like that? If you all want healthy cultures, healthy corporate cultures, you've got to get rid of people like this, because they keep people like me away. I don't want to be around you. We would never be friends. We would never be friends if this is how you act, and we aren't. So let's go through it. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Good to see you again. So, 10 smart responses to difficult people, posted on LinkedIn. Number one, when they interrupt you, here's what you're supposed to say back. I'll finish my point, then I'd love to hear your thoughts. So right off the top, we're dealing with someone who doesn't think that what you have to say is important. They don't respect basic adult human interactions. They basically can't have a regular conversation with you. So I'm supposed to build a relationship with someone who doesn't value my input, doesn't value my thoughts, thinks that their thoughts are more important than mine, to the point where they won't even let me finish my thoughts, but you want me to build a relationship with that person. Would never happen. It would never happen off this point alone. You don't have to have all 10 for me to not want to build a relationship with you. You could really only display one of these and I'm done. And I don't think that's being extreme, because to me, this is extreme. You behaving in this way is extreme, and you need help. That I can't fix you. Me being in the office is not going to fix this. You have character flaws that you need to fix. But they want me to build a relationship with someone who interrupts me. Then, when they dismiss your ideas, you're supposed to say, oh, well, that's one approach. Here's another way to look at it. So you want me to build a relationship with someone? who doesn't think my ideas are valid and won't even entertain them, just dismiss them outright. And all of these, by the way, are a form of you having to be the bigger person. And my question is why? Why do we always have to be the bigger people? Why am I, as someone who's not super young, I'm not in my 20s or 30s, but I'm also not up there yet. I'm in my 40s, but I'm having to basically parent people who are 10 and 15 years older than me, sometimes 20 years older than me. I have to be the bigger person with someone who essentially is supposed to be my mentor. You're supposed to be mentoring me, but instead I'm having to speak to you as if you are a small child who I must be very gentle with because perhaps there's something going on with you developmentally. Okay? So they interrupt you and they dismiss your ideas, but you're supposed to build relationships with them. Let's move on. When they get aggressive or emotional, you're supposed to say, I'm happy to continue this conversation when we can keep it productive. Instead of saying, I'm going to take this to HR, I'm actually going to go ahead and escalate this to HR because you're getting aggressive with me. And aggression has no place in the workplace. We're talking about a PowerPoint presentation, and you're getting aggressive over a PowerPoint. But you want me to build a relationship with you, though. Do you see how insane that sounds? Like, oh, sure, she interrupts a lot. She dismisses your ideas. She gets aggressive and emotional when you challenge her, but just give her a chance. She's a great person. Or he. Oh, he interrupts you. Yeah, he dismisses your ideas. Yeah, he gets aggressive and emotional, but just give him a shot. Speak to him kindly. Speak to him gently. Say, I'm happy to continue this conversation when we can keep it productive. No, absolutely not. I'm happy to continue this conversation in HR because you're getting aggressive with me over a PowerPoint presentation, but you want me to build relationships with these people. So, are you starting to see where I'm going with this? When they refuse to engage logically, you're supposed to say, what evidence supports that? Let's take a look at the facts. So, you're now dealing with someone who is illogical, someone who interrupts you, they dismiss your ideas, they get aggressive or emotional, and they're illogical. And you want me to build a relationship with that. You want me to be the bigger person and say, what evidence supports that? Let's take a look at the facts. This is an unwell person, and we're not even finished with the list yet. They interrupt you, they dismiss your ideas, they get aggressive and emotional, they're illogical. Sounds a lot like a narcissist to me, if you ask me, but that's just my opinion. Okay? A narcissist at worst, but someone who's not well at best. Okay? So let's keep going. When you need to shut it down professionally, you're supposed to say, I value this discussion, but I don't think we're making progress. Let's revisit this later. Okay. So, in other words, what that implies to me is that you're spinning your wheels, you're going around in circles, circular arguments, and you're not getting anywhere. So, once again, you have to be the bigger person and say, I value this discussion, but I don't think we're making progress. Let's revisit this later. Almost like a child, like you're dealing with a child. So they interrupt you, they dismiss your ideas, they get aggressive and emotional, they are illogical, and they engage in circular arguments with you. And you have to be the bigger person to get them to stop, basically, and come back to the topic later. But you want me to build a relationship with that. Let's go to the top. When they try to dominate the conversation, which is very similar to the interrupting thing, you're supposed to say, let's make sure we're both heard. I'd like to share my perspective too. So this person also sounds like they're somewhat of a bully. You're dealing with a bully in the workplace. They dominate the conversation, they interrupt you, they dismiss your ideas, they get aggressive and emotional with you, they're illogical, they run around in circles. That's a bully. That person doesn't need to be there anymore. That person should not be employed by your organization anymore, to where people basically have to handle them with kid gloves because they don't know how to act. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you want me to build a relationship with that. When they make it personal, you're supposed to say, let's keep this about the issue, not each other. So they interrupt you, dismiss your ideas, they get aggressive and emotional, they're illogical, they run in circular arguments, they try to dominate the conversation, they engage in personal attacks, but you want me to build a relationship with that. When they keep pushing a losing argument, you're supposed to say, it sounds like we see this differently. What's the best next step? Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily signal someone who's mentally ill if they just keep arguing for something that they're clearly losing. But once again, you're having to be the bigger, more mature person to say, it sounds like we see this differently. What's the best next step? Right? But you want me to build a relationship with you. And then finally, when they try to control the narrative, in other words, trying to like derail the conversation into other things, you're supposed to say, let's refocus on the main goal here. So, to recap, they want you to build a relationship with someone who interrupts you, dismisses your ideas, gets aggressive or emotional, refuses to engage logically, engages in circular arguments, tries to dominate the conversation, engages in personal attacks, pushes a losing argument. So, in other words, they can't concede when they've lost. They have to win. And they try to control the narrative. And you're supposed to get up and get dressed and put your best foot forward to go engage with and build a relationship with a person like this. And I just think it's crazy. I think it's a crazy ask. Chat says, why are we using soft language to say what we need? There is no negotiation with a narc, a bully, a jerk, etc. I agree. Chat says, LinkedIn is so messy, child. Seriously. Like, like, now, what I would like you to do is reframe this in terms of someone that you are dating or married to. So you're either dating or married to someone who interrupts you. They dismiss your ideas. They get aggressive and emotional. They refuse to engage logically. They dominate the conversation. They make personal attacks. They keep pushing a losing argument. Can't admit when they're wrong, basically. And they try to control the narrative and derail the conversation. I don't know about you, but typically when I come across somebody like this, I dump them and block them, usually. I won't have anything to do with it. Ooh, chat says DV. It is DV. Like, this is insane. But you got this posted on LinkedIn as if it's normal. And I appreciate that they're trying to help. Like, at least someone is trying to do something to address difficult people. But understand that you're basically encouraging continued victimization of someone, to where they have to be the gentle, softer one. Like, okay, we don't have to yell. Let's use our inside voices, okay? Like, why don't we revisit this another day? They have to be the calm one. They have to be the level-headed one. They have to be the mature one. They have to be the adult. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had to be the adult in the workplace. And I was anywhere between 10 to 15 years, sometimes 20 years younger than the person that I was dealing with. But you want me to build relationships with these people. It's not going to happen. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an exorcist. They need help. They need serious psychological help. And they don't need to be employed by your organization, at least not in a managerial capacity where they have influence over other people's lives. If you're acting like this is how you're acting. When I was reading through these, two thoughts came to mind. I said, it sounds like the level-headed person is dealing either with a small child who is a brat, basically a complete brat, or a child with developmental issues, which does happen, or It sounds like someone who works with severely mentally ill people, and this is how they've been taught to speak to those people. So you sit down with your client or customer, maybe you deal with the criminally ill in prison, right? Maybe you're a prison therapist, or like maybe you're a detective or something. I don't know, but you're dealing with someone who's criminally mentally ill, and you're trying to talk to them, they're interrupting you, talking over you. Instead of you getting mad, you're supposed to be like, I'll finish my point, then I would love to hear your thoughts. That's how a therapist speaks to someone who's mentally unwell. You're trying to talk to your criminally mentally ill client, and they dismiss what you're telling them. So you're supposed to say, well, that is one approach. Here's another way to look at it. Because you have to be the calm adult in the scenario. They get aggressive or emotional, which is to be expected of someone who's criminally mentally ill. And you're supposed to say, I'm happy to continue this conversation when we can keep it productive. To me, it reminds me of like teachers and how teachers deal with out of control children, basically, but usually like in elementary, middle schoolish age range, because the idea is someone is coming unglued, they're unhinged, and you're not supposed to throw fuel on the fire. You're supposed to kind of make things better. So, the way to not throw fuel on the fire is to speak to them in this way. But here's the problem, this was posted on LinkedIn, and they're telling you this is how you basically deal with difficult people in the workplace, the same place they want you to go build relationships. Is it all coming together now? So this was my thought process, is I'm like, what would actually really make me want to go in? Dealing with healthy people, people who don't interrupt you, they don't dismiss your ideas, they don't get aggressive or emotional if they disagree. They don't refuse to engage logically, they engage with logic. They don't engage in circular conversations and things of that nature. They don't dominate the conversation. They don't take personal shots and personal attacks at you. They know when they've lost. They know when they're wrong. They don't try to control the narrative. They're healthy, functioning human beings. That's who I would want to go see every day. Someone who I can talk to. Like it really boils down to someone I can talk to, and they can talk to me as well. It's not just a one-sided thing. We can actually talk to each other and have a real conversation. Like in the more successful companies are not companies where nobody ever disagrees with each other. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. Successful companies are companies where people truly feel safe enough to disagree, even with their leaders. And their leader is intelligent enough to say, well, tell me why you feel that way. I want to hear your point of view. I want to hear your side. Where are you coming from? And then they talk it out, they talk it out, they talk it out. And before you know it, they've actually reached a solution that works very, very well for everyone. Like those are going to be your more successful companies. Your companies that are failing currently are not failing because there's no culture. They're not failing because people don't come to the office. They fail because the people that you maintain in the organization suck. And they're just like these people that are presented to you on the screen right now. They're childish and immature. How am I supposed to build a relationship with someone who is childish and immature? My current boss, oh my God, I have no idea how she's made it this far in her career, other than just simply being protected by the powers that be. She's one of the most childish, immature people I've ever come across in the workplace, ever. And I've come across some real immature people in my time. She takes the cake. She's number one. She holds the number one spot. You can't disagree with her at all. You can't get a word out edgewise. Now, one thing I will say in her credit is that she interrupts everybody. So it's not just me. She interrupts everybody. And then she dominates the conversation. She makes personal attacks. She gets emotional, not so much aggressive, but she gets emotional and very, very angry when you try to just talk to her. And when you try to get her to see your point of view or where you're coming from, like it shuts her down completely. And you can tell she's over there seething. Like she refuses to engage logically. She derails meetings. Like my whole team loves it when she's not there because we're actually able to talk to each other and get some work done. When she's there and she's on the call, she derails it off into outer space. And it's a wasted 30 minutes. It's a wasted hour. And there's no fixing her. There's no changing her. She is completely stuck in her ways and not interested in changing. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with her. So why would I want to build a relationship with this person? Now, luckily, she's actually not in the same city as me, thank God. So I don't actually have to see her in person, and I'm glad. I'm glad I don't have to see her in person because I wouldn't want to. Because eventually, over time, what happens is you start to develop resentment towards the person who's behaving this way because you can't express yourself. You can't tell them how they've harmed you or how what they're doing is harming you. Because even if you try to tell them that, they are going to dismiss it because that's what they do. They're not considering your viewpoint as valid. And all I ever think to myself, especially with her, is I know your kids can't wait to get out of that house, baby. She's got some teenagers, I think like 16 and 17, something like that. I know they can't wait to get out of that house. And I know that when they are able, they are going to accept a college admission, probably all the way on the other side of the country, if not on the other side of the world, to get away from her. Because it can't be much better for them. I can't imagine it's much better for them. Can you imagine living in a house with a parent who interrupts you, who dismisses your ideas, who gets aggressive and emotional, who's illogical, who dominates the conversation? So basically lectures you, starts lecturing or going into a monologue, who makes personal attacks on you, who refuses to admit when they're wrong, who tries to control the narrative by derailing the conversation off into something else. Like living with that would make me flee. I would flee. And I know her kids are going to flee because it's like, what a nightmare. If you treat us like this, I know you treat your kids like this. And I don't know about that husband. I'm never able to figure out the husbands because I figure either the husband is getting the same treatment or he's worse, one or the other. So maybe he treats her like that, so she treats us like that. Or maybe she treats him like that too. And he's so broken down and beaten down mentally that he doesn't even have the energy to leave anymore. Who knows? I can actually never figure it out. I'm never able to figure it out. Okay. Chat says, I fled. Right. Exactly. Yes. A visceral emotional response just by simply disagreeing or by, here's something I've been doing to her lately because she loves to repeat herself. It's so strange. And it's like, I don't know if she does it because she doesn't realize she's told us this already, or she thinks we didn't hear her. I don't know, but she'll say the same things over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? So when I'm deciding to be a smart ass for the day, I'll pull one of her one-liners and I'll use it on her. One of her favorite things to say is put a plan on paper. Plan on paper, put a plan on paper, put a plan on paper. So part of what I try to do in my current job is I'm trying to document our processes because there's a lot of them and they're very complicated. So what we are often doing is trying to find a team member who can explain something for the 12th time. And I'm thinking, instead of having this person explain something over and over and over again, why don't we document it? Why don't we write it down and house it somewhere in like a SharePoint or something? So this person doesn't have to keep teaching and reteaching the same thing at different times of the year. So I threw that idea out there. Of course, she dismisses it outright. She dismisses all of my ideas outright. She never thinks I have any good ideas. But on this particular day, I don't know, she pissed me off. So I said, boss manager, this is just about us trying to put a plan on paper. That's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to put a plan on paper. And she got so mad, she did not speak for the rest of the meeting. And I'm like, how are you mad? that we're listening to you. You're always saying, put a plan on paper, plan on paper, plan on paper. This is us putting a plan on paper, and you're mad. It's like no one else can have ideas but her. She has to be the center of everything. And then her other favorite thing to say is, I'm not a micromanager. I trust you guys to do whatever needs to be done. It's your project. But then she's on all of our project meetings, dominating the conversation. Out of a 30-minute meeting, she'll speak for 25 minutes and then leave the last 5 minutes to us. So how is this our project? When we don't even get to share our ideas. And when we do, you dismiss them. Her interrupting is so bad. But like I said earlier, in fairness and in credit to her, she interrupts everybody. It's not just me. She interrupts everybody. She's just rude. A very rude, obnoxious, arrogant human being. But you want me to build a relationship with that. How? I would never be friends with someone like that. I wouldn't want someone like that in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, I got distracted. But the point is, to me, this sounds like a therapist speaking to someone who's struggling with severe mental health issues, or a very skilled teacher who is dealing with a student who is either just too young to know better, or a brat, because there are brats. Brats do exist. A brat, or a child that might be struggling with some developmental issues, which is not their fault, right? So, you speak to them in a certain way because you want to present as non-threatening and cooperative and collaborative. But my question becomes, why don't they feel compelled to be non-threatening, cooperative, and collaborative with you? Why do you have to be the non-threatening, cooperative, collaborative one? But they don't have to be. You understand what I'm saying? Because to me, all right, let's do another scenario. Sometimes we have bad days, right? Sometimes we mess up, we make a mistake. So say, for example, with the interrupting, let's say you're in a meeting, you accidentally interrupt your colleague. If you're a decent person, you'll do one or two things. When you're done speaking, you'll say, I'm so sorry, Samantha. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue. Or after the meeting, you might pull them to the side and say, hey, I interrupted you a lot in there, and I actually really apologize. I didn't mean to, blah, 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 whatever. And then you don't do it again. That's what makes you a good person. It's not that we won't fall short from time to time. It's that you recognize, that's not the type of behavior that I want to display towards my colleague. And I want to build a relationship with them. So when I mess up, I go back and apologize, and then I don't do it again, and I learn from it. You understand what I'm saying? Or like dominating the conversation. Maybe towards the end you go, wow, I just realized I've been doing a lot of talking and I haven't really heard from you guys. I apologize. I would love to hear from the team. What are your thoughts? And then you call on everyone one by one to make sure everyone has an opportunity to speak. That's how you fix it, right? If I say to you, hey, let's keep this about the issue, not about each other, you catch yourself and go, oh my God, I apologize. I actually didn't mean to make that a personal attack. I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking the idea. I'm attacking the strategy. You see what I'm saying? That's how you make it work. That's how you build relationships. Relationships are built on trust, and they are built when you mess up, you fall short towards somebody, and then you go back and you try to fix it. You apologize, you acknowledge it, and you try to fix it. If they keep pushing a losing argument, it sounds like we are seeing this differently. What's the best next step? They go circle back, think about it, and come back and say, you know what? Now that I think about it, you're actually right. And I apologize because I was really, really pushing that idea, but I went home, I thought about it, slept on it. You're right. So let's talk about the next steps. You see what I mean? It's about making sure that when we fail, when we fall short, when we display character traits that are not good, and not conducive to business, we show maturity and we show that we are adults by acknowledging what we did wrong, fixing it, and then trying not to ever do it again. Like if someone gets really, really emotional in a meeting, I really don't think there's any excuse for aggression, but so I'll say emotional. Someone gets really emotional and heated in a meeting. They might take some time to go cool off and come back and say, you know what? I really actually didn't mean to do that to you. I'm sorry. I apologize. Right? So it's like, it's not hard to be good people. It's not hard to be adults. But the problem is, we are dealing with so many mentally ill people in the workplace. If y'all want us to build relationships in these workplaces, you have got to get these people some help. Chat says, and people take issue with the requirement of psychological evaluations for positions in leadership. I think all leaders not only should be psychologically evaluated, but I think they should have mandatory, ongoing therapy and counseling. Rather they want it or not, or here's a better way to phrase it. If they want to continue to be leaders of people and a person who's in charge of other people's careers and lives, then you need ongoing mental health counseling and therapy. And they could be like, well, I'm not struggling with any mental health issues. I feel fine. Oh, you really need mental health counseling and therapy. If for no other reason, when you find yourself dealing with a difficult employee or having a difficult situation, you could talk to your therapist first before you unleash all that psychoticism on your employee and make them quit. Because ultimately, these really sick bosses and leaders, they think when someone quits, they're like, yeah, I knew they weren't strong enough for this job, blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is, when you make someone quit, you are costing your business money. If I were the CEO and I had a manager reporting to me and people kept quitting under their leadership, I'm going to pull that manager into my office and say, what is going on your team? Why does your team keep quitting? And if you come at me with something like, oh, they're just lazy and blah, 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 I'm going to fire you because I can't have a manager who has a personality disorder that is so extreme, it is causing people to leave my company. You are costing me money. You are affecting my bottom line. You are affecting operations. Like, it would be very difficult to be a manager for me because I'm going to hold you to the highest degree of accountability because you're over all the people who do all the work for us. So I can't have you running them out of the company. If anything, you need to be coming up with creative ways to help them stay. We just went through all the trouble of hiring these 3 people, and within a year, all 3 of them have quit because they hate you. I don't get it. I'm not going to protect someone like that. Why would I protect somebody like that? You got to go. You need help, baby. And maybe if I can't fire them right away, okay, fine. You're going to go to therapy. The company will pay for it, and I'm going to give you 90 days of therapy to try to figure out what's going on to where you feel like you need to interrupt, dominate conversations, get aggressive and emotional, be illogical and irrational, you need to figure out why you feel compelled to do all that. And if your therapist can't help you, you're out of here because you're not going to keep running people out of my company. You're a reflection of me. So if I tolerate this, it makes it look like I tolerate bullying in my organization. You see what I'm saying? So I thought this meme was perfect. I literally saw it the day after I did that show on Saturday. And I just thought to myself, and this is who they want us to come in and attempt to be friends with. This is who they want us to come in and build relationships with. Like, what would make me come into an office every day? Not having to deal with people like this. People who are cool and intelligent and work hard and have work ethic and don't make life difficult for their peers and coworkers, and who are respectful and kind and emotionally intelligent and funny and have a sense of humor. Like, I love to laugh. Like, I want to go to work and laugh while we're working. We can laugh and work at the same time. I want it to be fun. fun, but we're still productive. You understand what I'm saying? So this is pretty much all I wanted to share with you guys. I know it's not the longest live stream on the planet, but we've been here about 45 minutes. I think I've made my point. So, in summary, too long didn't read. The summary is they want us to come in and build relationships, but quite frequently, the people they want us to build relationships with are mentally ill, and they display all of these behaviors and then some. This is just one list. I just thought this was a perfect illustration. Obviously, there's so much more that they do that make it to where you just don't want to be there. Like holding pointless meetings, like not ever really making progress on things, just circling the drain. You know what I mean? Like they're not inspirational people. They're not going to change the world. I want to go to work with people who are going to change the world. Innovative, creative thinkers who are working on something that's going to make a huge difference in life and in the world. That would get me up out of bed in the morning. That would inspire me. That would make me want to go to work voluntarily. You understand what I'm saying? So that's it. I wanted to share this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this Monday live stream. If you missed the last one, I thought I put the link in there, but it's not in there. But it's on my page. You can find it. And be sure to sign up for the mailing list if you are interested in personalized notifications from me. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week and don't have to deal with anyone like this in your day-to-day experience at work. Okay. Take care. Not sure when I'll be back, but hopefully it'll be soon. All right. Bye.